English defines failure as the lack of success, but in Uniport, failure has different meanings. And as someone trying to navigate his or her way through life as an adolescent, you better be prepared to embrace most, if not all of them. So, this is a special session that is not totally in line with my personal branding of content of being a product engineer and what I usually put out here. But what the hell? I'll still put it. As I said, it's a special session. And in this special session, I'm going to be sharing what I've learned from 6 years in a public school. I'm going to call it Lessons from a Public School. Today, we'll talk on failure and tolerance. One thing I've learned from the past 6 years of being in the University of Port Harcourt is that failure will humble you. But most importantly, I've learned to develop a tolerance for failure. And even more importantly, I've learned the consequences of having little to no patience or tolerance for failure. During the early years during my time in school, as soon as I entered school, in fact, school humbled me by giving me an F in one of the easiest courses I have ever written. You should have seen my reaction. Those who know me know that I am calm and calculative. But if you want to see one of the rare times I lost my cool, it was during that period. I remember it was the second semester of year one, and I actually heard the news or saw it the day I was writing another exam, a GS exam, under the rain. I ran to my course rep, began to complain. It's not possible. I couldn't have failed. Impossible. Something must be done. No, you have to check. No. They play. Just they play. I'm pretty sure he was as confused as I was as newbies. What did we know? From that experience, I learned that when you're in school or when you're in Uniport, when it's time for exam, there are three things you should pray for. One, pray for retentive memory. Two, pray to write well in a conducive environment. And three, pray that the lecturer that is going to mark your script is in a good mood and is able to see or find your script in the first place. Three important, if you don't take anything from this video, take these three important factors in praying to whatever you pray to. I ran this, they were, I think intentionally, most people did not, or most people chose not to look into the matter, because my godfathers probably were trying to teach me something. Right? They're trying to teach me something. But of all my workings and runnings and ramblings, nothing came out. I still had to rewrite the course as a carryover. Got a score that would have given me an A, but took me down to a B because it's a carryover. Then I learned, just, my tolerance for failure increased just a bit. Moving forward, there were so many other instances that humbled me, that taught me the importance of failing. If I want to reflect on all of them, this video is going to be more than an hour. But there's this other particular one I'd like to share. This one taught me something very important. As I stated earlier, I am a product engineer. What does that mean in this era? I'm not constrained by front end, back end. I'm into technology. I'm not constrained by front end, back end, and all that. I build based on problems. I build solutions based on the problems I identify, or the business or the company I'm working with identifies. And I use the technologies that will enable me build that product. My other content will talk more on my journey in tech and my current area of specialization. But back to this one. Sometime in my 300 to 400 level, I was made aware of these contests hosted by CS. I think it's Society of Electrical Electronics Engineers, I think. Yeah. So they wanted hosted this pitch contest for reasons best known to them. Now at the time, I was building this platform where, or which, I was building this platform to help students easily find accommodation around school. Now you ask why am I building a platform to help students find accommodation? Well, if you have been a student in a public university, you should know why. You should have the answer to that. Or if you are in a place where generally it's difficult to find houses, then you already have the answer to that. So here I was, as someone who had faced this issue and had constantly looked for ways to get easy accommodations, but hadn't seen any. Sure, maybe technology can solve the problem. So when I came upon this um, event, I said, okay, why not? Registered for it. Now, that was not the first time I was pitching a solution or a product, and I had developed this confidence around understanding the business niche and all the other nitty gritties around products. But I had and I still have more to learn. And this time, I was humbled to the point that it took me about a year before I learned some important lessons from this experience. Now, registering for the event, I asked myself, what's the worst that could happen? Well, well, in all my period to that experience or that event, I have never felt so attacked at a pitch before. I had never. Later, I would come to realize that I was pitching a product to people who didn't understand what I was building or the problem, probably because they had not experienced it. But the defense, or should I call it a defense, but the pitch was so intense. The questions were just so intense. You know, people who I thought would have knowledge about the solution or the product, or at least a bit of acknowledgement. I was washed down till it got to a point where one of the judges even attacked the name of the platform. And I even attacked the name of the platform. It was like I was having uh, a defense for a doctorate degree. It was intense. At one point, when he browsed the name, he came up a name similar to the name of the platform I had built. Coincidentally, came up, and next thing I heard was, "Man, you're not building anything innovative. It's just the same." Turns out the platform he was referencing was doing something different, but with a similar name because it was in the similar field, in the same field rather. But it would take me some time before I had figured that out. That event made me to identify the difference between innovation and invention. Now, if you want to build something novel, that's invention, and that's what they were referencing. But innovation is different. I urge you to look into that, or I'll make a separate video for that. But regardless of the opposition, throughout the pitch, I defended the business logic, I defended the code, I talked about what makes my platform different, from a student's perspective, from someone who had and is still experiencing the problem. Talked about the business workflow and the key things that would make it a success. Turned out that was a mistake. Exposing so much context was a mistake. As you can imagine, I lost to at least two people whose products were not scalable, but they were flashy at the time. Soon, immediately after that, I started questioning myself. I started asking various questions. I mean, these are the judges. These are people who are knowledgeable, experienced. I mean, maybe there's a reason why they are so against this. Maybe there's a reason why they didn't acknowledge it. Maybe there's a reason why maybe this product is not feasible. Maybe I'm building the wrong thing. I was like, oh more, it be like say I know they build the right thing. I was asking all sorts of questions. All sorts of questions. Now, it's not like there was no support for this platform because students who had similar issues, when they heard about the platform, oh yes, ah, this will help us. So, for a time, I pushed the platform to production, maintained it, but eventually, I quit. I quit because of those thoughts, those questions, those self doubts. I couldn't tolerate my failure to be acknowledged by people who could lend a helping hand in making this or that platform a success. I couldn't tolerate it. I didn't realize that my audience at the time was the wrong one. I didn't realize the need to be consistent regardless of opposition. Fast forward some time later, maybe a year, one big billboard in Ofrima greeted me one morning. Guess what was on it? An ad for a platform that helps students find accommodations. Turned out someone from the CS department took some time to study my platform that was live, or probably just the idea from that pitch, and built something similar and got the necessary backings to have ads around school. You know how much it takes to have ads around school. Sponsorship. For a time, I was pissed. For a time, I was pissed. I could feel some invisible stares looking at me as someone who is always conscious. I was pissed, but who was I pissed at really? I was pissed at CS or whoever it was. I found out who it was. Whoever it was that built the platform, and they have the decency to approach me about improving a working product that I had already demoed to you. Not an idea, a working product. But more importantly, I was upset at myself. Why did you stop? In the time between that billboard ad and the event, I had grown in both understanding and clarity. So I knew better than I did when I pitched that product. I was better. So I began questioning myself again. Why exactly did you stop? I was pissed at myself. Why did you stop? The people or the audience or your target audience for that platform were not the people in that room, because those people are affluential people. Those people are people who didn't understand the problem and probably didn't experience the problem because they were sufficiently funded to bypass it. So why did you quit when those people were not your target audience? Why did you stop? If you had dedicated a year to this, do you know where it could have gone? You know how much your market value could have increased? You know the people you could have helped, including yourself. So I was pissed at myself. I was pissed at myself because I quit too early, because I failed to tolerate failure. I failed to tolerate the failure to be acknowledged. Because I was not validated, I quit. As for the team who had built that product, they haven't scaled significantly since then, and I'm just waiting for them to scale so we can have some very important discussions. That aside, back to the point, this video is particularly tailored to those who are going into any form of education or any form of, but you can scale rather to any form of life that you are moving into now. Failure will humble you. In the context of those going to tertiary institutions, school will humble you. School will humble you. You'll be humbled. You will be tested and you'll be tried. And if you're not careful and you fail to develop a tolerance for failure early on, as I did, you will experience more setbacks than you would have if you had persisted. Whether it's in learning a skill, job hunting, career choices, business, I've come to understand that failure is a critical aspect of success. And regardless of whatever adventure you are going into, you have to learn from failure and not succumb to it. You have to be tolerant to the amount of times you fail. Because people have succeeded not overnight, but over time. So in whatever venture you are in, tertiary education, academia, industry, whatever, failure is all part of the process. and you should learn from it, not succumb to it. All right, that's it for this session. Remain cultured.